Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we today? And what a great morning it is this morning. First of all, I've just got to say the football yesterday was absolutely brilliant. We beat Germany. Yes, that means then the Brits are definitely going to get banned from Europe, I think, at the moment. Magdalena Merkel must have been smarting yesterday in her Berlin headquarters. So, yeah, it looks like we're into the next stage, playing Ukraine, actually. I was very surprised that Ukraine actually won last night. I was quite shocked at that. So the next game then, July the 3rd, 8 o'clock British time, which is 10 o'clock UK time for the next leg. And hopefully we might actually bring it home. I'm wearing my England top today. Anyway, a little look around the real estate. I've not done that in a little while, actually. Looking at the weather today, can I just say thank you to the lovely Amanda for her concise weather report. It's going to be 34 today, although it's going to feel like 38. I don't think it's going to be as hot as it has been these last few days. We're out of the yellow alert status anyway. But anyway, looking down towards Kerry and Amber Lockerbie, it looks absolutely lovely down there. A little bit of a haze in the air. Oh, and look, I can just see the moon. I don't know if you can see the moon on the screen at the moment, but the moon is still shining through at the moment. But other than that, it is a beautiful morning at the moment. Big shout out to Heather Nash and also Barbara Telfer, who's tuning in. We'll have a look round the other side of the house, looking down towards Lagana and also Kalamaki as the crow flies. And again, it's you can feel the heat as you walk round the corner, that's for sure. And again, it's still looking clear. Not blue skies as such. There is that little bit of a haze there at the moment. But all other than that, it is still glorious. Looking towards town, it's very, very sunny in that direction. And then looking up towards the area, over the top of that hill and in the distance will be Sillery. And again, I reckon it's going to be pretty hot over there as well this afternoon. So there you go. That's a little look at the real. Oh yeah, people have been asking about this green that's you can't see it as clearly as you could do in other days, but this green marking that's on the ground there is basically a kind of anti rodent and snake device, safe for cats and everything else. Yanni has been laying that out because again we think little Herbert might have been actually got by maybe a snake, and so snake defences are now out just around the house area just to keep them away. I don't have any problems with snakes. I don't mind snakes, but again, the cats sometimes think that they could take a snake on, and sometimes they can win it and sometimes they can't, bless them. So that is what those green lines are. And again, there was stuff all the way along here as well in the areas where they like to sort of hang out. But no, it's gone. Right, let's go up and have a look at the news. There's been quite a bit going on within the last 24 hours, not only here in Greece, but on Zakynthos itself. Some of it good, some of it bad. So let's just quickly switch the screen round. And as you can see, got my England top on there. It's coming home, hopefully. Anyway, we shall wait and see. Right, so then, what's the date today? Can you believe it's the 30th of June today? 30th of June, Wednesday. People asking about Wiggy. I've had no information on Wiggy at the moment, so I'm hoping that Wiggy is doing all right. Yesterday, Jane was at the airport meeting the TUI flights. The Manchester flight, according to Jane yesterday, from the information she had about 157 people on board on the TUI flight yesterday from Manchester. The London Gatwick, which she went down to meet yesterday evening, that had around about 100 people on board. Again, it's a start. The great thing about TUI, not only are they bringing guests just for TUI holidays, but also for other companies that rely on them to get their guests to their accommodation. So let's just hope that those flights stay on. All right. As talking about flights for today then, flights into Zakynthos today, we've got 4 from Amsterdam coming in, we've got 1 from Poland coming in, 1 from the Czech Republic coming in, 1 from Sweden coming in, we've got 2 from Athens coming in, 1 from Corfu coming in, that always makes me smile, and also we have 1 UK flight coming in from Bristol, and that's an EasyJet at 12:20, and Jane is assigned to go and meet that flight today by her employers, and obviously they've got people on there that have got to get to accommodation to wherever they have to go. So there you go. So 1 new Brit flight in today, which hopefully will help add to the numbers of the British that are on the ground here at the moment. Right, when it comes to infections as far as COVID is concerned at the moment across Greece, I'm afraid the numbers are creeping up again. 362 was what I reported yesterday. Today it's 605 new infections across the country. 3 new cases were identified into checks into the country, which is good because that's down on the 11 on the previous day. Again, no cases have been reported in Zakynthos at the moment, which is also great for us. When it comes to deaths have crept up again from 8 deaths on the previous report to 13, bringing the death toll now to 12,695. The average age of those people passing away, 79 years of age, 96% had underlying health conditions or problems or were over the age of 70. And once again, our condolences to people that are affected by that. When it comes to critical cases in ICUs across Greece, they seem to be on the decline still, which is good news. 215 was the last report I gave you, now down to 204, 134 male and 70 female. So there you go, that's the critical cases. Once again, just to remind you that the maximum amount of hospital beds that Greece has to be able to cope with special infections is basically 900. So that is well short of the 900 maximum. So again, that's a good positive step forward. Right now, interestingly, despite having the arrival of TUI flights yesterday, a local press report at the moment, this was in the local press today, TUI cancelled reservations at European destinations, including some Greek islands, with departures until the 21st of July. Now, in particular, the tour operator announced that it will not make holidays until the 21st of July in Halkidiki, Kefalonia, our neighbours across the road, Pressova, Samos, Santorini, Skiathos, Thassos and Crete. Cancellations were made on holidays also in Spain, Italy, Croatia and La Palma. Now, in addition, holidays in red destinations such as Egypt, Turkey and Tunisia were cancelled, as well as trips to Cape Verde, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Mexico, the Dominican Republic and Aruba. Anyway, holidays using partner air carriers, they were also cancelled as well. That's basically their people who had using TUI as their way of getting to wherever their accommodation. They've had those flights obviously cancelled. No flight, you can't get there basically. But they also said, this is TUI's words now, we are constantly reviewing our holiday plans and cancellations in line with the government announcements, with the next ones expected to take place on July the 15th. Now, the thing is, we haven't had our flights cancelled here in Zakynthos. So we've been very, very lucky that Zakynthos is still able to get the TUI flights in. The company also clarified that all travellers affected by cancellations will be able to request a full refund or change their reservations for a later date or another destination and receive a booking incentive. So, great thing is Zakynthos still is getting people coming. TUI are still bringing people here, or they've just started to bring people here. So that is fantastic news for us. Let's just pray, fingers crossed, that it stays that way and nothing's going to come along and create a hiccup. Anyway, interestingly as well, last night while in Magdalena's we were talking about this, the announcements that were made yesterday evening, that the Greek authorities have announced the gradual resumption of mostly indoor activities, some of them open to vaccinated people only. Now, Development and Investment Minister Adonis Giadardis and the Minister of State, Georgios Gerapepis, announced yesterday that theatres and cinemas will open on July the 4th with attendance at a maximum of 50% of capacity and mandatory mask wearing, while indoor leisure activities, including dining, will be allowed from the 15th of July. So at the moment, you can still go to the pictures outdoors, but as of tomorrow, you'll be able to go to the pictures indoors. We have an indoor cinema here, as well as an outdoor cinema in the summer here, and they'll be allowed maximum capacity of 50% of what they would normally allow in there, and you would still have to wear a mask while you're watching Fast and Furious 9, which I think is the movie that is on at the moment, with Greek subtitles, so it's in English, guys, so there you go. But as for restaurants and indoor activities, it's looking like July the 15th will be the opening up time, and I'll come on to those in a little bit more detail. Anyway, also sports venues, both indoors and outdoors, they will be open to the public on that day as well, the 15th of July. Now, leisure activities, venues, a designation which includes bars, cafes and restaurants, can be divided into exclusive, which only those vaccinated against the coronavirus or who have recovered from the disease during the previous 6 months are allowed in that area. Or you can have a mixed interior with everyone allowed in, but with non-vaccinated, it means that I will say it again, with everybody allowed in, but with the non-vaccinated made to exhibit the negative result of a recent test. So you've got to walk around with basically a test certificate to say that you are negative in a mixed area. Anyway, sports venues will be exclusive ones, especially for minors entering with a full self-test and with their parents assuming liability. Such venues will allowed to be at 85% full. So at the moment, I know for us here in Zakynthos, Dennis and I were discussing this yesterday about, are we going to go for a mixed or are we going to go for an exclusive area for when we're allowed to open the interior of the venue itself. So again, that's something that we're going to be looking at over the next few days. At the moment, the demand at the moment is that unless we get more people, I don't think that is going to be an issue at the moment. We'll be lucky to get what we get and whoever goes in. And the other thing that you've got to think about it is who's going to police all of this as well. Are we going to be expected to police this ourselves? Are we going to expect the health authorities to suddenly turn up and go around, start checking people, etc., etc.? So I think this is another one of these measures that makes out they're doing a lot, but in fact they're not doing anything. It will be interesting to see how this is tackled, if the authorities take it seriously enough that they are going to go around and impose the law, because that's what it's going to be about, imposing the law. Anyway, coming back to the announcement yesterday, the two ministers explained that the government aims to encourage vaccination and to protect public health in venues with large concentrations of people. Gezaparitis said another aim is to gradually restore the freedom of movement of those citizens who have already been vaccinated and have what it takes to live with their personal and social lives back to the fullest. Right. Now, in bars, clubs and cafes and restaurants, it will be up to their owners to decide whether to make their spaces exclusive to the vaccinated and recovered or open to all, the two ministers said. Exclusive places will be allowed to operate at 85% capacity and masks will not be required, while mixed places will be limited to 50%. And again, obviously, they don't say whether masks are to be worn. Hopefully, we will wait and see if it comes out a bit more in detail. Anyway, as I've already pointed out, several proprietors expressed their scepticism about whether these new rules could be enforced. Some restaurant proprietors say it's imperative to open up indoor seating, especially because of the summer conditions. Having to dine in searing heat could turn off people, including the important tourist clientele, they said. And restaurant owner and chef Leftaris Larizou, I think he's a bit of a name here in Greece, a bit like your Gordon Ramsay of Greece, said that policing policies policing customers, will be difficult, and added by law he could not fire employees who have been furloughed for not wearing masks. So again, there are still things to be ironed out in the detail. Interestingly, another local report reference what's happening in the hotels here in Zakynthos. A lovely lady who I do actually know, Christina Tetradi. She's the president of the Hoteliers Association of Laganas, and she's also on the board for Hoteliers nationwide in Greece. Now, she's been talking to Hermes News, and she said very simply, the pandemic is determining factor for everybody, despite the fact we all believe that the problem could have been solved a year ago. She said, however, for our islands, and especially for the Ionian, the British part is very important, and without the British, the Ionian has virtually no tourism, emphasising that apart from Zakynthos, Kefalonia and Corfu, they also face low occupancy because the British market is the first and the largest margin from the rest. Anyway, Mr. Tetradi said, as much as these markets help, they do not fill the gap. But she's talking about the other markets apart from the British. They cannot fill the gap of Britain since they are not moving at 100% momentum. This is either because the vaccination has not progressed or because they are still different measures in each country for the return, or because there is a new reality that we cannot dispute, and it concerns the Delta variant of the virus. Acknowledgingly, finally, the economic aspect, as many incomes and jobs were lost in Europe due to the pandemic, and many are unable to take vaccinations. So in all, she's actually given a very good overview as to why the government is saying, the Greek government is saying, oh, we must now look towards different markets and we should encourage these markets. But again, traditionally, the British market has been the market here for Zakynthos. Even though the German market is the market for the whole of the country, Zakynthos doing things slightly different as it always does from the mainstream. She's saying that the new markets, basically, there's not enough of them. Some of those people obviously cannot take holidays now because obviously they've all lost their jobs due to what's going on, and each country is running its own system of quarantine measures and its own system for what you do when you go home or for how you get here. So again, I've got to be honest, she does seem to understand very much the way things are here for Zakynthos and the Ionian. And she's obviously taking that message a bit higher, up to the higher levels. Anyway, she also noted that families in Britain who cannot wait for their holidays will postpone their trips abroad till 2022. And we've seen lots of evidence of that. And those who will travel at last minute will be younger people who probably will not have been vaccinated, since the vaccinated belong to older groups. Again, Britain is trying to vaccinate younger people at the moment in the same way that Greece is vaccinating younger people at the moment. And again, we're waiting to see how the 18 to 30 market is going to play out. I've got to be honest, they've just reminded me of something. Yesterday, Jane said there were a lot of girls arriving yesterday at the airport. Obviously, I think they might have all been going to Laganas. Obviously, I could hear the noise on the phone when Jane was phoning me. But again, we are getting younger people coming. And again, it'll be interesting to see how that is handled as well. Anyway, she then further went on to say, the atmosphere, despite the Greek Prime Minister at the annual regular general meeting of SETI, that's the Tourism Association, held a few days ago in Athens, at which she was at, was positive. Ms. Tetradi described as very important the Prime Minister's announcement to extend cooperation programme until September. That's basically a programme. I think that really is for the hoteliers. They are getting support from the government so that they don't go under. Anyway, the government will, with its resources, is next to tourism to support society. However, it's very important, she says, that vaccinations proceed and Greece remains green. For us, staying green is our vaccine for tourism. Anyway, she said, we are leading the pandemic and we are waiting for the developments. It all depends on the evolution of the mutations. And if all goes well, we can be optimistic about September and October. For Zakynthos, we cannot take advantage of the period after November as we are a summer destination. I'd like to disagree with her on that. I still think we could still encourage people to come here in November. It's going to be potluck with the weather. I understand that and I appreciate that. But again, if we could just keep going for those extra few weeks in November, that may actually help some people's bottom lines at the end of the day, that they might be able to claw back some money. But this is going to be dependent not on us here. This is dependent on what the holiday operators want to do, whether they want to extend their programs. There has been talk, I know, in areas like Crete, they normally traditionally have an extended program till November because obviously they're further to the south than us and their weather is slightly better. However, I still think Zakynthos underestimates its weather, and I think people will still come in November and it'll be potluck as to what the weather will be like. But one thing is for sure, it will be better than what it is in Britain at that time. And I've just seen Lyndon come up with, I'd come in November. Cheers for that, Lyndon. I'm sure you would, and I'm sure there's many other people who would come in November as well. Anyway, judges in the Supreme Administrative Court have rejected a case taken by a group of firefighters who opposed mandatory vaccinations against COVID-19. The plenary session of the Council of State rejected for reasons in the public interest that the application of firefighters serving in the Special Disaster Management Unit, or EMCA, to suspend an order that the fire chief ordered that they all be mandatorily vaccinated. I'm afraid that has been thrown out by the court. The court said that mandatory vaccinations of EMCA staff was vital to ensure the uninterrupted operation of the special units of the fire brigade that are in charge of dealing with disasters. And again, I think that's a slippery slide now to mandatory vaccination, not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector. And once again, hats off to those firemen that had taken their employers to task in through the High Court to see if they... I mean, the one thing was they had been promised they wouldn't lose their jobs. But if they're saying we're going to vaccinate the EMCA employees, the special firemen for disaster units, who's to say they're not going to make all firemen have the same? And it's that slippery slide to compulsory vaccination. And again, we're still in the early days of these vaccines. What everybody is saying, we're still waiting to see what the fallout will be. And we probably won't know for about another 5 years. But again, I take my hat off to the firemen for at least making a stand and trying to see if the law can come into play. Another piece of news that came in today, which doesn't put Zakynthos in a very good light. A young man of Zakynthos origin was taken to the prosecutor. He was arrested on Tuesday morning by the unit of the Cybercrime Prosecution Directorate located on the island, and is being prosecuted for child pornography. Thousands of files containing child pornography were reportedly found on the computer of the detainee, which were then obviously confiscated. The Cybercrime Protection Directorate carried out an investigation where a digital analysis of data and digital data was carried out. During the electronic electronic traces in question. They were identified and the perpetrator was identified. The perpetrator will apologise today to the Zakynthos investigator. Now, this is not an isolated incident at the moment. It also was reported early this morning that the Police Cybercrimes Division on Monday, it had arrested 5 suspects on charges of possessing and sharing child pornography online. The suspects were all tracked down to Attica as part of an ongoing operation titled Undercover 2 and were found to have been involved in online sharing of at least 3,629 files of child sexual abuse. So there you go. Those people who think you can get away with it because you're in Greece, I would think again, no, you won't. They will find you. And I've got to say one thing about the cyber crimes unit of the police. They are very, very good at what they do. So again, that's the story. We'll keep an eye on that and we'll see what comes of it. Anyway, and finally, nice happy story now. And finally, almost 9 years after they were stolen in a near-perfect heist at the National Gallery in Athens, Pablo Picasso's Head of a Woman and Pierre Montaran's Stammer Windmill have been found. Now, the 2 works were recovered in an eastern Attica town of Caretta, hidden inside the house of a Greek man who had been under observation by the police. Now, the perpetrators in the 2012 theft had also removed an early 17th century sketch attributed to the Italian Mannerist artist Gregorio Sagardi, and that sketch was found, but unfortunately it had been damaged. Now, the 2 paintings are now back in the possession of the police. The art heist baffled police. The 2 burglars entered the gallery in the early hours through an unlocked balcony door, having drawn security guards away from the paintings by setting off alarms at several locations throughout the museum. Security footage shows the men swiftly removing and stripping the paintings from their frames. Although 2 men were arrested and convicted of the heist, the identity of the mastermind behind the heist remains a mystery. Oh. Anyway, just the Pablo Picasso painted Head of a Woman was painted in 1939. 10 years later, he offered the work to the Greek people in honour of their contribution to the resistance while they were under Nazi occupation. And on the back of the painting, there's a handwritten dedication from the Spanish painter, which says in Greek, for Greek people, a tribute from Picasso. So there you go. It was found eventually. Right, let's have a quick look and see who's been tuning in. Anthony Stoker is tuning in. He says, morning, Ginge, from a drab and grey drizzly Sunderland. Donna, Tony and Donna tuning in live again. Thank you, guys. James Buchanan is also tuning in as well. Lyndon says, good morning from Cardiff. Ginge, I'm enjoying putting in my new hearing aids and being able to hear you. Bless you, fella. I'm glad. I think when I do go out, and you might be watching this on your phone, subtitles, I think, may miraculously appear. I don't know how it does it. I know it does it on my dance show, that subtitles do appear when I broadcast live streaming on there. So anyway, I'm so glad you can now hear me, Lyndon. I'm looking forward to hearing you singing, mate, now that you can hear the music. I think we're in for a great time once we start getting things back together at Magdalena's. Anyway, also as well, Heather Harvey Green is tuning in as well. Nice to see you there, my love. She says, Gallimera Ginge, I noticed you out on the boats yesterday, enjoying yourself, making best of the weather. Jerry Coyle is watching as well. Heather Nash is watching. Barbara Telfer is watching. Stacey Jackson is watching as well. And I'm seeing if there's anybody else who's made any comments. Yes, Heather Nash says, good morning to you and Jane from a sunny Birmingham. I've just confused you with Heather Harvey Green. I do apologise. Good morning to you and Jane from a sunny Birmingham. Your view there is beautiful today. Thank you very much. It is a beautiful view today. Jane should have had a day off today, but basically she's having to go into work to meet the UK flight that's in today, which is an EasyJet flight, which again, is it from Bristol? I can't remember. Where did I say it was from? I think it's from Bristol. But anyway, she'll be there to this morning, and we'll see how many more Brits arrive. Right, just to remind you then, tonight at 9 o'clock Greek time, which is 7 o'clock at your time, I'm doing my reverse broadcast into Magdalena's to get around the restrictions we have at the moment. A mix of music and also vox pops from people in the bar from last night. I managed to get to the bar last night after the game was over. I was staying in the house watching it, and I was also cooking for Jane as well. And so I didn't go into Magdalena's until after the game. And I've got the reaction of everybody that's there. Also the people that are here on holiday as well. And also some people that were going home today as well from the Dutch. And also Denmark as well were in there as well last night, people from Denmark. So again, an interesting little mix of vox pops as well to put you in mind of, I know you can't wait to get here when you can get here. And also we're also excited by the fact that it looks like by the 15th of July at least we'll be allowed to be using the inside of the venue. And we can then do more than what we can do at the moment. And by that time, Dennis will have put his extra tellies in as well, which will just make it even better. So anyway, come and join me tonight, 9 o'clock. Facebook, it will come up. Don't forget Mixcloud, Twitch. Twitter is probably one of the best areas to watch the show from. No interruptions with copyright strikes on Mixcloud or on Twitter or on Twitch while the show is on. Also Facebook, it will come up there just to give you a warning that I'm on air, and of course with Facebook as always it goes for so long and then it'll get taken down. I'll restart it, but then again the show then also gets uploaded onto Mixcloud, and last week's show has done incredibly well on Mixcloud as the week before shows has done, and you can listen to it on catch up there. So right, that's it from me today. You have a good day wherever you are. I'll keep my ear to the ground, and if I hear of anything, trust me, I will let you know about it. You take care and have a great day. Ta-ra.